What's going on, everybody? Okay, here. So today it's Asuka day 2. So normally I don't do this, but I'm doing a tips plus some early combo guide for Asuka. So I'm gonna leave a little disclaimer here that he's definitely an advanced character. I've been only playing him yesterday and today. I haven't really touched Pika in the past couple of days because I find him to be a pretty interesting character. He is technical in that he has a lot of options and a lot of cancels. So a lot of this video is really going to try to get you a base that you can start with the character, and so the character doesn't sound like, for lack of a better word, runes or like just like magic bullshit. I don't know really what to say, but I feel like if you don't keep up with him and you're trying to play him, then you're gonna fall behind really quick because of like what people are finding. So I want to do an actual beginner guide in like a week or two when I get better with him, but this is more of like get some fundamentals, get some basic combos, and also just explaining how some things work in a practical fashion. Okay, so first important for this video is that I'm definitely using a bunch of shorthand and stuff that I use for like my personal memos and notes and stuff. I have the virtual controller here because if you don't know number notation, you're about to learn today. So if you got a keyboard, I would look at it and look at your number pad if you have one. If not, then you can look at the top controller because it's the same idea. So Sol, here's my lever. Okay, I play an arcade fighting stick. So when you are neutral like this, it is 5 on your numpad. When you tap forward, it's 6. When you hold back, it's 4. So then up back would be 7, up would be 8, up forward would be 9, down forward would be 3, down would be 2, and down back would be 1. The buttons are as shown here. I don't have it as like PlayStation buttons. I have it as Guilty Gear buttons. So P is punch, K is kick, S is slash, H is heavy slash, D is for Ds. D is actually for dust. So in the bottom right, these are the main spells we're going to be talking about as far as combos too and pressure and stuff. And while they all have their own names, so Howling Metron, Delayed Metron, MS Metron, and then Metron Screamer 808. The blue cube is just like, I usually just call it the water cube or blue cube, something like that. Then for the Delayed Metron, that's the thunder cube. We have the wind cube for the MS processing, and for the Metron Screamer 808, I've just been calling it Screamer, so that's probably I'm going to call it this entire video. So to start, the first thing we're going to look at is actually his no mana combos. So it's actually pretty easy to combo with him without using any spells. The damage is not going to be great, but it's a really good option when you just don't know what to do. So the basic combo looks like this. So it's close slash 2H, close slash super jump kick, air dash kick, dust into land, close slash 2H. You can fill in with a bunch of other stuff. The main thing is that the close slash into the 2H launches, so you can really do whatever you want here. Like for example, if you're not comfortable with doing like the super jump, you can choose to do an even simpler combo of going into close slash into 6H for the knockdown. So again, this is pretty important just in that you have something when you are like low on mana, or maybe for some reason you are using a different test case that does not giving you the spells that you want. I'm not really going to talk about test case 2 and 3 in this video basically at all, because I find that most people who are playing him are either getting overwhelmed with just like all the stuff that he has, or they're like exclusively labbing setups that like these are like mid or late game things. Like you have to start with test case 1, so I'm not gonna be talking about the other ones so much, besides a little something I'm gonna share in near like the end of the video. So next, another pretty important one, and this takes some mild awareness, is actually this. So this is just a simple example, but 2K2D gives you an opportunity to kind of just assess what's going on. I'm sure there's like safe jumps and stuff you could do too, and if you have spells, you can combo off the 2D in some situations, but the main things that you would want to be doing is either recovering mana if you don't have any, or if for some reason you're missing spell slots, you can refill them and then get like a meaty. So next, I'm going to talk about the combo ability of the spells themselves. So from playing, there's the handy dandy test case spell set cheat sheet, right? And when people were looking at this before he came out, they were like, oh, well, the test case 1 is also a lot about zoning because, he has a bunch of fireballs. He's got like 6 of the water fireball, 5 of the thunder one, 5 of the wind one, 5 screamers. So that's the big explosion, meteor-like explosion. So he's able to control space. But I also feel like the other reason why they give him so much is because they are really, really easy to combo into, and they up his conversion ability like crazy. So I currently have the spells neatly arranged, right? So these are set. And what I mean is you can go into character-specific settings and have specific spells in specific slots, no matter what test case you have. But this is just to show an example with 2P. So if it's 2P, another simple one. So what is to learn here? So one is that his 2P is confirmable into the water cube and screamer. So like this and like that. The water cube is preferable because it launches a little bit and spells are cancelable into spells. So for example, I was hit confirming here because I need 2 2Ps. So I'm able to use the thunder spell to follow up. The reason why I go into the thunder spell is I have a little breakdown like this. So out of the water, thunder, and wind cubes, the thunder one is the easiest to both do block strings with and do combos by far. The water cube is plus on block as well, but you can't do as much off it. And then the wind cube is kind of in the middle. So what do I mean? So for example, with the thunder spell here. So you have enough time to not only do a draw and then recover, but you also have time to even draw and switch test cases and keep going. Obviously distance is going to be a factor. Like, I don't know how often this thing will be a part of combos, but it just shows that you have time to fit in multiple cancels. The one you're probably going to be doing a lot more of is recovering mana. So an input more along the lines of this. So this is close slash into 2H, thunder spell, draw, mana recover. I do it all on the same button just to make life easy. The more you play him and use these sequences, the easier it gets to do quickly, but at the beginning it was definitely a little tough because I was thinking a lot about it. So the nice thing is that the wind spell also gives you enough time to do 2 things if you want to. So yeah, something along these lines. The same type of idea, you just have a little less time than thunder, but you can do 2 if you want. You want the combos to be much more lenient, especially if you're not using your water cube. So if you're using your thunder and wind cube, then you could just choose to just bookmark again, and you'll have way more frame advantage. And even though bookmarking costs a pinch of mana, it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. So putting that together, So if you got anything from that, then basically you could do button, water, wind, or thunder cube into draw and just push them to the corner at your own pace. If you use a wind or thunder cube, you can choose to do draw mana recovery or draw test case. If you choose to do 2 cancels off these spells, then the timing is going to be much tighter than if you do 1, so just keep that in mind. The last practical one I want to talk about is Screamer. So Screamer, the thing about this is that it kind of sends you flying, so there's not really much to talk about for mid-screen besides you just do it and they go flying. And when you do decide to do it, just like before, you should definitely choose to draw, but you can also take a little time to build resource here as well because you're sending them full screen. But in the corner, it bounces a different way. I've been linking with 5k, which I don't actually think it's a good idea. I'll update you when people actually have combos with these. The higher that this hits, the better though. So here's a little example of what I mean. Because the big thing about it is that it wall bounces, and if you play a character that has the wall bounce, you know it's pretty valuable to have one of these because it keeps the wall alive for a little bit longer. Like if you could juggle a character just like slightly outside the corner, even if the wall has a lot of damage, then you could push damage in ways that you could not normally. Okay, so last I'm going to not talk about combos, and I'm going to be talking about some pressure stuff that I think is valuable because it will help you build muscle memory with the character. So once I started practicing these, I felt a lot more comfortable. So right now I have these still set to always be water, thunder, wind, and then Screamer. So the idea is like you have the cancels you want to do prepared in advance so that you kind of just do them. So like you want your hands to autopilot what it does when you want to use whatever card. So one is a little positioning based, but it's about the water cube. So if you do this cancel properly, then they're not going to be able to jump or mash. Even like Souls 5k is not going to win here. What I'm doing here is 2h water cube into draw into 2k. So the water cube itself is plus, but we need to refill that slot because where are we going to do it? So since you can cancel spells into drawing more cards, we do the water cube and we draw a single card here. So keep in mind you could input it 2 ways to cancel. You can do either quarter circle back P, or you could just tap back NP to do the draw on that slot. So the next one we'll talk about is wind then. So the string I'm doing here is close slash 2h wind, draw, far slash. So I'm just pressing the slash button again. The main reason I'm pressing far slash here is just to show, because it's not a fast move, I'm quite literally holding up and I cannot move. I am totally in jail. So you get to do a wind spell and then draw. It's more advantageous than water, but not as advantageous as the thunder spell. So the thunder spell is very advantageous. It's so advantageous actually that you can do something like this. So I started holding up when I started to block the thunder spell. So the thunder spell is not fast. You see this little gap here. The 2h is not attack level 4, but this is very hard to challenge. Soul is indeed very privileged. Most of the time, I have noticed that on 5 frames, this is 5 frames and it trades, where this is 4 frames and it wins. So for characters where they don't have a 4 frame, this string is really, really good. And they can't throw you or anything because you're out of range. So you can get them to block the thunder spell, and then once they block the thunder spell, I did draw and then recover mana, and then I kept my offense, and it was still airtight, just like this. So we can extrapolate what this means then, because basically what that means is that on block, the thunder spell can be canceled into 2 actions instead of 1. So here's an example. Again, these are preset, these aren't set to random, but here's an example of the thunder cube into staff and keeping it all airtight. So same idea. So from here I'm just holding up and boom. So specifically the accelerate staff adds a guard crush and adds more block stun. Even if you have the other one, once you block the thunder cube, you can keep it airtight if you want. So this was an example of me doing thunder, staff, and then just link a button. So I didn't redraw off this. So here I'm not actually sure you can make this airtight on the slow staff, but I was able to make it at least so like I can't jump and I get punished for trying to mash here. So the thunder is really, really important. It gives you a lot of flexibility. You can get like 2 options, no problem. So if we extrapolate that even a little bit more, then you could do something like this. So what I'm doing here then with the Thunder Cube is I'm canceling into test case 3 and then keeping it airtight. So you have that option as well, which is really, really nice. So as a summary, if you're making someone block, a lot of the spells that he has, you can just cancel it into either drawing another card or recovering your mana. So you can either do, this is water into it, or this is wind into it. This is even Screamer is fine. Or you can go into mana recovery. Whichever method you want. Again, right now I'm just doing same button for mana recovery so I don't like mess with my hands too much. Thunder specifically, you get to do 2 options. So you either get to draw mana recover or draw test case. And regardless, they're plus. If there's a staff in your hand, especially if you have the accelerate stuff, you're able to just slide in a ton of stuff. So with this knowledge, you can practice in training mode to set the opponent to guard all and get used to canceling based off what cube you're using. This is a really great place to start, I think. So I have him set back to random again. And remember, test case 1 is the default. So these are all just examples of, based off the cancels I told you, that I'm just seeing what I have and just drawing and then making my choice of what to do next. Since I already have the muscle memory and you do the same thing in a lot of situations, then just when I see Thunder, when I do it, I just cancel into draw, recover, or draw a switch touch case no matter what. When I get like a water cube or a wind cube, I'll either just draw right away, or if my mana is going low, then I'll recharge mana. So to wrap this up, a couple of things about meter. So all the spells are cancelable into supers as well. So if you ever get a stray that you don't really know how to confirm and you're kind of far, rather than trying to like run up and like freestyle or run up in meaty, you could just combo it into super. And the hit confirm is not that bad. So I did that extremely late. You have plenty of time to hit confirm this, and the cube will always connect. This is especially useful for spells like Screamer 808. For the short term, at least, anyway, because usually if you hit this, it just will knock them back to full screens. Having a way to confirm it is pretty nice. The only thing is that I would say it's one of the harder ones to confirm, because if you're doing it on reaction, then this could happen sometimes. It's not a bad situation by any means. You're not getting a combo, but at least you have some advantage. And then the final thing is going to be in regards to actually this super. This is the bookmark super. So there's a couple of things about this super. One is that you can actually press all the buttons and switch them at the same time if you want. So if you're searching for stuff like, let's say I have no Thunder Cube. Thunder Cube's really good, so I want one. So, okay, so now I got a couple. So I stopped mashing all 4 when I got the main one that I wanted. It gives you a good amount of time to think about the situation and then do what you want to do. But that's not the point of me showing you this. The actual point of me showing you this is that similarly to the damage super, you can use spells in combination with the bookmark super for pretty fun results. So, for example, let's say that I have nothing. I discard everything. So again, in this example, I'm going to have the Howling Metron, so the blue water spell is going to be the only one that's around. I'll do a string into it and then cancel the super. And then I cannot move. It's actually airtight. So this is very, very, very useful when you want to re-up cards. This is very, very useful when you want to create the situation that you want. Because again, it's not totally random, it's cards, right? So the cards are getting at random, but you have an idea of what's in the deck that you're using at the moment. So for this final example string, I'm going to be putting together a lot of stuff at the same time. So this string has the Thunder Cube into airtight, test case switch into another spell into super, and I'm doing 5H, which is not a fast button, just to show that like I could not move there. So practicing these cancels will really help you just in general, because now that you know, like, oh, after water, I draw. After wind, I draw. After thunder, I draw and do something else. You can apply this to neutral as well. So when you're in neutral, okay, now looking at the spells I have randomly, I have a wind spell here, so I'm gonna bookmark. Now I have Screamer, I'm done. In this case, we could do things like this. I'm kind of manual on going into special moves personally. We can use the same pressure ideas in neutral, but since we have more space, we have more time to recover if you want. If you want to really keep up the pressure, you would do draw and just do spell again really quick. If you want to work on managing resources, especially depending on what cubes you use, I would do a draw and then mana recover and then go into another spell. Okay, that was a lot, but hopefully that helps. So this is, again, not even really a beginner guide, just from playing him the past 2 days, just some fundamental stuff that I'll think will just help y'all get a basic idea of what you're going to do as people optimize him, because again, everyone is working on different stuff. As usual, if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.